Good evening and welcome to Let's Talk Business. We had a great show last week talking to Catherine Francisco from the NVAAPI Chamber of Commerce on the importance of joining a chamber or similar organization. Tonight, we have another great guest, which you will be meeting soon. But as always, let me start with this. So we've talked about starting a business. Now you've done that. It's doing well. You are now starting to make money. So you are now a profitable business. What's the next step? It's about learning the difference between profit and profitability. So let's start with profit. Profit is simply defined as what's left from your gross profits after you subtract all the expenses incurred in selling the product or performing the service that your business provides. This tells you the actual dollar amount that you've earned for the business. Profitability is a relative measure of how a business is, how profitable a business is. Profitability removes the raw absolute amount of the profit, revenue, and expenses and looks at those in percentage terms. This allows businesses in different sizes to compare their profitability side by side. The general rule is that a company with a higher profitability is more efficient. So which is more important? Well, of course, both are important, but profits can be deceptive. Let me give you an example. Two companies, Company A and Company B. Company A makes $2 million in gross revenues and has a cost of goods sold of $1.8 million, leaving them with a $200,000 profit. Company B makes $1 million in gross revenues and has a cost of goods sold at $800,000, leaving them with the same $200,000 profit. Both made the same amount of profit, so are they both equally profitable? When you think about it, no, because here's two reasons. Company A had to spend a lot more money to make the same amount of profit as Company B. If expenses go up, let's just say 10% on the same category, Company B will have a higher profitability because the other one had more expenses. Profitability helps you get a better idea of whether the profit you are generating is worth the amount of time, money, or energy you are expending for your business. So the natural question regarding profitability is, what is a good percentage? Now, this truly varies depending on the industry. There are some industries that run at a lower profit margin, but as a general rule, 10% net profit margin is considered average, 20% high, and 5% low. So I'm not sure if you've heard of the phrase, more does not mean better or less is more. But this is true in business when you look at profitability versus profits only. So here's some of our suggestions on how to increase your profitability. Number one, find more customers or better customers. Find the best demographic for your business. What type of customers make you more money? Market to that demographic. Better means client that buy at a higher profit margin or pay for higher profit margin services or products. Number two, increase your average size or orders. Upsell or train your people to suggest add-ons. Restaurants, for example, how many people will you pay for a family of four? Meaning, if you think about it, when you have a restaurant, a family of four comes in. Let's say the average price of a dinner is $25. So that average family of four is paying $100. Well, with that $100, you have to pay for a waiter, a busboy, food preparer, chef, and a hostess, right? So there's a lot of people, not including the food cost as well. So higher will give you more revenue. Check your prices. Make sure it's fair, competitive, but high enough for you to make profit. Type of jobs. So if you're a service job, or not even service, let's say you're a construction company. Sometimes if you're working and you want to get a job at a casino, don't just discount so much to get in there that you're not making profit. Now make sure that your quote that you're giving them is still profitable, fair, competitive, but don't sacrifice you losing money just to get in there. Although sometimes you'd have to do that on the first job to get your foot in. So that's a decision that you'd have to make. Number 3, add products or services that have higher profit margins. Maybe if you're a retail product, higher end, but in-demand products would be better because they're more profitable. Knowing what your customer likes. How about if you're a service company, implementing service contracts? For example, if you're an HVAC company, you service air conditioning, why don't you create a program where you service their air conditioning and they pay you monthly for it, for example? Or maybe that's not a good example, but something like if you're a lawyer, instead of hiring you per hour, paying you for a retainer service, for example. It gives you steady income. Number 4, cut expenses or be more efficient. Look at ways to be more efficient, such as better inventory replenishment system, better purchasing discounts from your vendors, shipping cost. Can you cut on that? A better delivery system for you delivering products to your client. Cutting overhead that is not necessary, such as office space if you don't need it. Supplies, your place is so big, you can probably move into a smaller one. Supplies, just ordering the right amount and not over ordering. It's just sitting there doing nothing. And then lastly, always check your books. Break down line by line items. Always take a look and see where you can get better at. What can you do to make your expenses smaller, or what can you cut, for example? Always check your expenses. These are just a few of the suggestions. I'm sure there is more. Another suggestion is sit down with your office manager, your CPA, or your banker and take a look. Banking, you could take a look at the fees that they're charging you and see if there's anything that you can do there, or you can get discounts, or if there's a program where you use a certain card that allows you to not pay interest when you're buying supplies or inventory. CPA is always good because they can really dissect your books and tell you where you can cut. And of course, your office manager, if you have one, knows everything that's going on, especially if you have like a medical practice or something like that and you have somebody else running for you. So there you go. Profit versus profitability. Please take a look and always, like I said, check your books. Okay, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we will talk to our guest, someone who has really gone through what I'm talking about. All right, we'll be right back.
Just like a friend from back home.
This is your Filipino radio experience in Las Vegas. PHLV Radio.
By Leo Lukidi. He is the owner and founder of Tea and Whisk. He is a business owner that can give us great examples of what we were just talking about. Good evening, Leo, and welcome to the show. How are you?
Good. Thank you, Sonny, for inviting me here.
Of course.
It's a pleasure of mine.
No problem. Hey, tell our audience, tell us about Tea and Whisk. Tell us about your company. How did you get started?
Yeah. Tea and Whisk is a tea shop, tea retail. We sell high quality tea leaf from around the world. Mainly right now is China, from Taiwan, from Japan. But really, it's just I'm just trying to find a good tea. So we have tea from Nepal recently, from India. It's just easier to find from China, Taiwan, and Japan because they've been around the longest. Their skill seems to be just above and beyond other country for now. And not saying other country doesn't have good quality. It's just harder to find.
Gotcha.
But it's changing. And the story of Tea and Whisk is very interesting because I started the company looking up at places like Tivana, which is the famous tea shop that got bought out by Starbucks. I thought that's in the mall. There's none I haven't seen in the local area. So why not open a tea shop? But before I opened the tea shop, be honest with you, I didn't really know too much about the side business of it, like the demographic.
Sure.
I kind of taking it a little bit too easy, which is not something you should do if you want to open a business, right? But there are two kind of people that open a business. One is they make a big plan, a lot of like really fine tune everything, and then open a business. I know if I do that, I will never open one. So I'm more kind of like just jump in the water and learn how to swim right on the spot kind of things. And it's definitely not something.
You're more adventurous. How about that?
It's definitely not something I would recommend to people because the struggle is real. But at the same time, this is not my first business. So my previous business, I sell like kitchenwares on Amazon's and eBay and stuff like that. So I feel like I know enough about business and I feel like I can handle any kind of problem, which is kind of yes, but at the same time, it's definitely challenging trying to run both businesses at the same time. So I ended up closing my kitchen business and fully open, just run the tea shop in 2018 because I found my passion at the tea shops. And first time when I open it, it's mainly just flavored tea, a lot of herbals, a lot of like color, we say it that way, you know, a lot of health benefits. And it seems, what's so hard is it about it, you know? People like health benefits, people like beautiful pictures that as long as you put like different fruits, different color, put it in the right marketing. I feel like that's like business 101, you know, marketing. It's all about marketing.
Sure.
But then when I learned more, I discovered this whole entire world of tea that almost nobody ever talk about, which is the kind of like ceremonial kind of tea. And I grew up seeing that and I always look at that like that's just some old people. You know, it's always like I don't think that's for here for Americans, you know. I feel like that's just some old Chinese people doing it. I never really care too much, but then, you know, I'm in the business anyway, so let's learn a little bit about it. And boy, the first time I learned about it, I was drinking tea with a few people that already in the industry, and I spent 10 hours just drinking tea without sugar, without milk, nothing added, just good quality teas from China, from Taiwan, all night until 1 a.m. And I had so much fun. And I was like, wow, that was amazing. And then they invited me again the next week, and we repeat the exact same thing, just drinking tea with strangers for 7, 8, 9, 10 hours later. Still feel good. We get hungry. But that's kind of what hits me. Like, wow, why is it every tea shop I've been to, there's nobody really does this. Most of the time, it's always focused about health benefits, which is great. You know, tea has a lot of health benefits, but they're missing the most important thing in the tea. The tea itself has to be good, and it's impossible trying to find that. So it makes sense why it's easier to just get some lower quality tea, and let's figure out how can we sell it to the mass public by introducing some herbals, some fruits. That way, in people's mind, it makes sense. Okay, if you put some pomegranate in my white tea, then I know exactly what pomegranate tastes, but I don't know what white tea tastes, but it makes sense. So after that incident, suddenly I start changing my whole idea of like, you know what? I know this is the harder road to walk. I know this is the not popular method as far as like tea shop in United States, because I done research after. Nobody does it this way, like very few, only like online companies. But I decided that's what I like. I spent hours. I start believing in it. So I start changing the business model.
Well, I was going to ask you, actually, that was going to be my next question to you. How is your tea shop different from the commercial ones like Tivana or Tea Planet, right? So I guess that's partly your answer, but if you want to expand on it some more, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the beginning, again, I was trying to do everything. So I have part of the Tivana thing. And then later on, though, I start selling only just the classes, the education, because of what I've learned. So I want people to start experiencing what I had. So we start offering classes. We even did like a tea social event every night. We charged very little at that time. It's like $10, unlimited tea for like hours of hours. And we even have live music. And the goal is really just to get people in.
Okay.
So we focus a lot on the culture, the traditional tea, what makes the traditional tea better, instead of relying on a lot of like herbal tisane. Like a lot of people say they like tea, but they actually drink only non-caffeinated stuff like chamomile, like lavender. But all of those are not actually tea. So those are basically the biggest difference. We focus on the traditional stuff.
Gotcha. I'm going to ask us, for the audience, I went to one of his tea ceremonies and it was an amazing experience. So I want for our audience to hear from you. Please describe to our audience what the tea ceremony is like and why is it such a unique experience, in your words. Yeah.
Yeah, so what we had before, the tea ceremony in China and Japan is slightly different. So the tea ceremony that we were doing is, we call it Gongfu tea. And the idea of Gongfu tea is, Gongfu, it means practice. It's the same word that you use for those martial arts.
Okay.
So the word Gongfu, it literally means you need to do a lot of practice and discipline and pay attention on every single little thing you have in front of you. And if you notice, we were using small cups, and the idea is so that you can actually appreciate what's in front of you. So there's when we are doing this, there's no playing with your social media. There's no playing with your cell phone. There's a lot of like steps on from rinsing the tea and to steeping it the proper temperature, how long you steep it. And a lot of the tea is like 5 seconds to 10 seconds. And you can steep this tea for like 10, 20 times. And each infusions, you want to pay attention to how the color change, the aroma change, the flavor change. And all of this, it's not that easy because every seconds matter, every temperature change make different flavor. So that's why you need a lot of practice, but that's the ceremony that we're trying to do in the shop. And in Japan, it's care more about how you sit down, how you hold the bowl, how you hold your cups, So slightly different, and we do both, but mainly we do the Chinese one. The Japanese one usually will have to usually hire somebody to do it. But the idea of just appreciating what's in front of you is really, really perfect for right now with the mess of the social media. And it's just kind of it helped me to kind of stay away from that a little bit, and just really just be present with the people in front of you. If you notice, we spent hours and we didn't even feel like it. And and it feels like it's only 10 minutes because we all present there,
To be honest with you, I was expecting something different, but what we got was even amazing, and it was so refreshing.
Yeah.
And for the first time, I really paid attention on the taste of the tea and how good it was. So that was great.
Yeah, a lot of people just drink without thinking.
Okay, now I spoke earlier about profit versus profitability, and please describe to me. We've talked about it a little bit when I was at the tea ceremony with you. So I'd love for you to describe for the audience how you viewed both and how it changed your model, for example. Yeah.
That is really, really important. Like sometimes I have customer that is want to start the first business, and I always tell them, because they have this goal, like how much profit they're gonna make, and then they're planning to grow how much bigger later on. And I always tell them, you be careful. Things is always so easy when you're just starting because you have no employee, you have no. You probably work from home, and just everything is just profit. That's just pure profit. Your cost is almost nothing, right? Because I made the same mistake. I moved to a bigger warehouse before when I was selling kitchenwares, and then which means extra employees. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? All you got to do is just double the sale. doesn't work that way sometimes. You're right. I mean, it's in the perfect world, we double the warehouse, we double the employee, and then automatically somehow the sales goes up. But then people forget the more things you add, the more time you have to spend handling each component. And time is not unlimited. Time is limited, right? Even though, yes, technically you can just hire more people, but a lot of time, it's always never enough time. So being efficient is important. So when I opened the tea shop, earlier I was telling you how I was copying Tivana model, but then at the same time, I was trying to do the traditional one.
Yeah.
And they're this completely different business model in a way. And I was trying to do everything because I was still learning in the beginning. And eventually, yes, the shop was busy and we have people, traffic coming in all the time, but at the same time, I'm like juggling between two different business in a way. So when the pandemic happens, what happened is there's no employee wants to work. And I was like, okay, that's when I start looking at myself. What do I really care? Do I care about those, beverages? Because we were offering like a beverage, like milk tea.
Sure.
We do everything. So I started thinking, you know what? I really do not make those anymore. But is it possible not offering any of those that I hate and just offering things I love, which is like sitting down and do private tea? Is it possible for me to make the same profit? And it's scary. But the pandemic, basically everybody was cutting down their hours and everything. So this is the perfect time for me to give it a try. So I did exactly that. So I stopped the beverage and just people can come in only appointment only at that time. And to my surprise, yes, a lot of customers left and never come back because they come only for the beverage, but they will be just spending $5. But now people can come in and then they sit down with you and they learn more about tea. We'll spend an hour, spend 2 hours. Instead of spending $5, they spend like over $120. So my customer traffic actually dropped by like 70%, but my number went up by like 7 times.
Wow.
So my sale actually goes up.
Yes.
And I have no employee, and I love the job. And then eventually, I was able to cut my day from 7 days to just 4 days now. And I try to so that I can spend time with my family, because at the end of the day, I think you have to be happy.
Yes.
If you're not happy with it, with your business, it doesn't matter how busy it is, and plus there's more things to take care of. The quality also goes down. It just you kind of work yourself out too much. So that's really important. And a lot of people are scared. They're scared to cut down services.
Yes.
And make it simple. You know, it's a scary thing. And recently I was in the business meetup in Washington, and we were hanging out with like hundreds of different small businesses, and everybody raised their hand. We have employee problem. We have employee problem. Nobody wants to work. No matter how much I pay them, nobody wants to work.
Yes.
So I was like, nobody has solutions. Like, I think I have a solution. Simplify your business.
Yeah.
It is. You simplify your business, you do not need that many employees. And most people are afraid to make that change. So I feel like sometimes as a small business, you have to be, you can't be afraid of making changes for the benefit of the future goods,
I agree with that. Sometimes change is good.
As
long as you do it correctly.
Yep.
I guess you might have answered a few of my next question. What are some of the benefits of knowing your profitability and becoming more efficient? You mentioned time with the family, and that is huge, of course. Who doesn't want to spend more time with their family?
Yeah.
Is there any other benefits also that besides being more profitable, of course? So.
Every small business, one of the dream of having a small business is like so that they have more freedom.
Mm-hmm.
That they can spend time more with family. They can, they don't have to follow schedule.
Yes.
But what I always end up seeing with every single small business is they work way harder than people that work in the company. They work 7 days a week. They work 15 hours a day, barely have any sleep. And then, and it's tough because I went through that. Like, how can I not do that? I just want to work with the hour I wanted, with the days I wanted to. And it's hard when you offer so much service,
Sure.
And, like the other day, I think I don't want to grow my business to become like Tivana. Like, I don't want to open 10 shops, because at the end of the day, I think it's a matter of my priority.
Sure. Sure.
Sorry. Yes, I can do that, but at the same time, I have to hire more people. I have to do things that I can care of. Yes, I can hire a manager. I know that. But if I'm happy with just having one shop and then mainly focus on my online business, and I come to the shop just basically drinking tea with people I love, and I can still go to the tea farm, spend time with family, I feel like the money that I make will make me more happy than when I actually have 10 shops, and I probably make 10 times more, but I won't be as happy.
Sure.
So I think happiness is so important. Like what makes you happy? If all the money in the world is gonna make you happier, then by all means go for it, right? But if I have enough money to do travel and take care of my family, and yet I'm still very happy going to work every day, I think that's the perfect scenario for me,
Good for you. It's true. It's really knowing about your priorities in life, and making sure that you have time for that. That's amazing. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah.
What would be your best advice for young entrepreneurs when, starting out their business, now they're becoming profitable? Yeah, just give them your good advice.
Well, first you have to love it.
Okay.
I think that's really, really my main advice. Like I said, when I was selling my kitchenware, I love being a business owner, but I hate selling kitchenware.
Okay.
All right. So you have to know that. Sometimes you have to understand the difference, right? Yes, I love being a business owner, but do you really, really, truly love your product or not?
Gotcha.
And it makes a big difference, because when you love your product so much, not only people will trust you more, you can sell higher quality product, you get higher quality customers. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm selling high quality tea. Numbers, customers go down, but they are way higher quality than what I had before. And they're also my biggest promoter. Like, they'll create a Discord group for me. They'll create, whenever I need a volunteer, I will have like everybody like raise their hand, just try to help me, because when you create a good quality product, your customer also a higher quality, but you have to love that product. Yeah. If you don't love that product, you can't fake it. Nowadays, people can tell if you just like faking how much you like your product, right? So, and love and passion can goes a long way. And when you have problems with your business, when you don't love the product, it will stress you out.
Yes.
But when you love the product, it will actually give you energy. How can I fix this problem? Earlier you actually mentioned about numbers. People always ask me this all the time. Pandemic happened, and people are like, Leo, are you going to be okay? Are you going to be okay? Pandemic, and I know a lot of businesses like struggling. You think you'll be okay? I'm like, oh, this is nothing. What do you mean it's nothing? I've been in business for like 12 years. I went through hell. I went through so many problems. What always fixed me? Like what keep me sleeping at night? Number. Whenever like things like this happen, you go back to your book, you look at all numbers. The numbers like maps, right?
Yes.
That shows you everything, good and bad.
Okay.
If you can look at everything, you understand what the problem is. All you gotta do, okay, that's the problem. You fix that problem, that exact one problem that you see in the number, and that basically keep me sleep. That's it. Okay, you know what? Tomorrow I'm gonna figure out how can I fix that particular problem, and then that's it. A lot of time when people just like don't put this map in front of you, a lot of time I feel like they don't even know what stressed them out.
Sure. Understanding the issue. Yeah.
That what helps me a lot. So definitely look at your numbers, care about that, and really, really fall in love with your product and your service. I think that can go a long way for a lot of small business.
That is amazing. Thank you so much. Any parting words?
Well, just honestly, business is a journey. It's a marathon. Even though if people say like, oh, you might be struggle the first year, 2 years. I've seen people struggle for 5 years. I've seen people struggle 7 years. I mean, I personally a victim. I started my first business in 2007, and I only started making profit like really like this year.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So, so don't listen to other people who doubt you. Just believe in yourself. Never doubt yourself. That's really my parting word.
Thank you so much. For the audience, if you're interested in Teen Whisk, just give us a call here and we'll tell you where they're at and how to set an appointment and try that tea ceremony. I'm telling you, it's an amazing experience. Leo, thank you so much for coming in. I truly appreciate it. For our audience, that is our show for tonight. Till next week, good night and take care.
Thank you, Sonny.
Thank you.
Like a friend from back home.
This is your Filipino radio experience in Las Vegas. PHLV Radio.